First rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
And here we are, Fight Club. Coming up next. All right, welcome back to Nerd is the New Cool. My name is Justin. With me
And
is
my name is John. And my name is John.
that's John, and we're going to talk about Fight Club. And why? Because it is the 25th anniversary of this incredible classic. And we're talking about it in 2025 because, frankly, we didn't have the time to get to all of the 1999 movies that we both
We
love.
didn't, yeah, we didn't get to nearly as many, but this was one that we wanted to make the time to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. So, despite it being a couple months late, here it is,
Whatever.
Fight Club 25th anniversary. So, I don't know if you can remember this, but do you recall the first time you saw this?
It would have had to be honestly, it was probably in the fraternity house, if I had to guess. I don't know where. I can't recall the first time I saw it, but it had to be at 710 South College.
Well, I can admit this now because this company is no longer in business, but I know when you watched it first. I don't remember the exact moment, but it was from a Blockbuster VHS rental that I had gotten, and I'll tell you why I remember that because I like forgot to return them. It was that one and like three other like Stir of Echoes was another one and maybe a third. I can't remember the third movie, but I didn't return them, but they never charged me for it. So for the longest time in my crate of
You
VHS.
had some blockbuster cases. I remember the blockbuster cases. I just didn't recall which movies they were.
Well, one was Fight Club. And so that is the moment I owned it. And what's so sad, and this is kind of the follow-up to the next question, is like, how did you rewatch it? I was looking through all my DVDs and I was like, how do I not own this movie on Blu-ray or DVD? And this is one of those films that I owned on VHS, not just the Blockbuster video, but I also own a regular video, regular version of it.
hmm
And in my head, I've owned it forever, but I don't own it actually on DVD or Blu-ray, which is so
I,
I I
I
had, I had to buy it on Amazon Prime.
I do own it. I own the DVD.
Yeah,
It's in my case, which is back in my. I think it's in my basement somewhere. Yeah, I have to find it again. But yeah, I do. This is one of the few that I still own a hard copy for.
yeah. Well, it's on my new list of movies I need to buy, and having done some research, there are lots of different versions of this movie you can get. Like like
I have
there's
like one of the special edition ones.
yeah,
Like it's not probably the crazy one, but I have a special edition version of this one.
there's a couple, and this is one of those I think is worth having because of all the different not iterations, but all the behind the scenes stuff and like how many things like were put into this by Fincher and the original author.
hmm
It's just it's there's a lot of layers to this film, which we're gonna get into. What makes this movie great? So I'm gonna ask you that question, and I've got kind of a list of things that I think stand out, but I'm curious for you, like what is like when someone says Fight Club, like what immediately comes to your mind?
I mean, just the it's hard to put it into words, but it's almost like the philosophy of the movie
Mm,
of the anti-commercial, anti-consumer. People need to focus on what's really important to them and not all the shit that people are trying to sell to you. And the shit because it's I was actually talking to a guy I work with about this today. And I told him that we were doing it. He was like, "Oh, I haven't seen that movie in forever." He was like, "Does it hold up?" And I said, if I had to be honest, like it's probably more relevant now than it was in 1999 because that was like kind of the dawn of the internet starts to take off and you start to see this consumer you know the expansion of like the consumer, just the American consumer, and now you look at it now and it's taken to an entirely new level.
well,
So yeah,
not to step on your canceled category later, but let's just hash it out now. As far as I was thinking about what are things that need to be gotten rid of, and I actually just wrote down, I don't know. I think this again is like more relevant today than it was in the late 90s, early 2000s,
exactly.
which is both fascinating to think about, but also pretty terrifying.
Because because it's counterculture. It's just not counterculture in the like the definition that you think of, the counterculture of like the 1960s. Like that was a this is a counterculture just taken to an taken to another level of totally revolting against the quote unquote social norm. And I think that's what makes this that's what really makes it pretty powerful, because if you can, you don't necessarily have to accept, but like if you can mentally accept it and understand, you know, what Tyler's trying to do and like the steps that he's taking, like there's we can get into quotes too. It's like congratulations, you're one step closer to bottom.
Hmm.
You know, it's the old Bob Dylan, like if you ain't got nothing, then you got nothing to lose. Like that's his philosophy of life,
Well,
of
let me ask you.
let everything go.
Let me ask you this because I think that when I watched this movie originally, and even like rewatching it, there are a lot of things about like anti-consumerism that I agree with, and that at the time, again, we're in our late teens, early 20s watching this movie. It's like, yeah, like I can kind of get behind this. Like corporations are doing this to me and are making me feel like I am what I own, not necessarily who I am as a person. But it seems
One
like
of my quotes.
but the evolution of like how maybe this concept has been kind of bastardized and taken over by frankly, some pretty terrible hate groups. I don't know. It's just interesting. Like, I don't think that Fincher and like this was created for that purpose. It was more of like a let's maybe it was like the awakening of. I don't know if he did it tongue in cheek or if he did it as in like this is something that we need to revolt against. I think that he did it. I personally think he did it 25 years or 20 years earlier than it actually happened in society with like the Proud Boys and like the idea that like poor white males, poor masculinity, like feminine knitted, like basically like a way to essentially say like we're tired of getting kicked around, us, you know white male Christians.
They weren't all. I mean, they were mostly white.
Well, I don't know. It's just something to think about. I keep going back and forth with like, is Fincher is the original author, which I have his name written down here. I feel terrible for not.
Well, and some of it's also classism, because it's not just every white male. It's working class. It's blue collar. It's even to some extent white collar, of like it's the middle class rising up against the the corporations that are slowly trying to control your life by, controlling what you see on TV and controlling what you and telling you what you should own, what is cool, what's not cool, what car do you need in your garage, what TV do you need on your wall, like all that, like all of that. And it's the middle class who can't attain most of the things that are getting pushed, that are, rising up, so to speak.
And part of me is like, oh, okay.
That's one of my quotes too, but we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, well, and part of me like agrees with that like it is
Yeah.
like okay to like to eat the rich, right? And
Mm-hmm.
again, the corporate, system is set up to essentially crush the middle class, the working class, and the billionaire, which now again, back to being relevant, the billionaires essentially control what we think is a
the
democracy. It's more of an oligarchy.
the
Um,
rich get richer.
and yet I think they are still poking fun at this idea of like, here's how we'll revolt. We will create chaos and we're going to I don't know, like fight each other, like uber males. It's just such a weird dichotomy that I think they're
Right.
going.
Get down to your primal sense, so to speak, of of just, you know Hulk smash. Basic kind of, but yeah, no, and you can kind of see a little bit. You touched on it a little bit, where, how they do it is also, is that really how it would go? Is that really the most effective manner to do? I mean, it's certainly a way. Start small. It's a grassroots movement, slowly spreads from city to city, because it's like-minded ideology. I mean, it's just like anything else. You're finding people that you can sway and
Mhm.
convince, that are on the edge, that you can, you know convince of your doctrine, and then all of a sudden they're followers, and then you're just going after a certain type,
And
morally flexible, so to speak.
yeah. Well, that's yeah, to say the least. And there are quite a few other themes in here. So Chuck Palahniuk, I believe is his name, was the original author. The interesting part about he says, as far as the inspiration behind why he came up with this storyline, is that he actually said he actually came up with it when he went on a camping trip, and he basically got in a fight, and there was a noise from a radio. He went over, he got in this fight with people, and no one would acknowledge his injuries, and instead said things like, "Well, how was your weekend?" And he basically concluded that if they had asked him what had happened, a degree of personal interaction would be necessary, and his workmates didn't care enough to connect with him on a personal level. And it was just very fascinating to him with the idea of there's like a societal quote blocking, which kind of became the foundation of the novel. I mean, that's kind of like the essence of like what is happening with these two guys.
And the narrator mentions that a few times, where it's like I got and he talks about it, it's like we got it in everybody's face. It's like, yes, these are bruises from fighting. Yes, I am comfortable with that. Like, no, because nobody wanted to say anything to him.
Yeah.
It was just kind of that socially awkward, like, what's wrong with that guy? But you're not actually gonna ask him how he's doing. You're just gonna look at it, kind of raise an eyebrow, talk about it behind his back, and then just go about your day. Which
Right.
is totally what would happen right now.
100%.
100%.
100%. Unless you're close
No,
to.
nobody acknowledges the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
It's too awkward.
And then it snowballs into a film that has a lot more deeper meaning besides consumerism. I mean, they deal with mental health, insomnia, but also just overall mental health. Obviously, the idea of the government and like creating like Project Mayhem, which is the idea to like basically protest against government. And I read somewhere that this movie is essentially about it's a metaphor for the need to push through walls that we put around ourselves, and basically it's the idea of breaking free from the idea of like what's it like to be socially normal, right? And
Yeah,
breaking.
it's breaking from the social norm, and it's redefining what social norm is. And again, that's that whole the doctrine or whatever you want to call it that Tyler Durden pushes. It's that's his philosophy of like, no, like this shouldn't be the normal. This is the stuff that we really need to focus on. This is what's important. All
Mhm.
this other bullshit, that's not important in the hunter gatherer sense of the word. He mentioned like a direct quote from the movie, but it's getting down to what's really important for survival.
Yeah,
And all this consumer bullshit, you don't need that to live. So forget about it. It's not important. So don't worry about it. Just let it go.
yeah. No, and there's so much going on in this movie. It's really fun to watch
There's a
now.
ton.
So many years later, and I've seen it. Speaking of which, as far as at the time, was a pretty popular trend in films, which we'll talk Peak at the Mountain later on, but just twists and Easter eggs, right? I mean, this
Mm-hmm.
was the height of that, I would argue. And there's so many moments, and I said this to you before we started recording, but watching tonight, I thought to myself, how the fuck did I not figure this out in real time?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many moments. I don't need to. I don't want to list all of them, but I'm gonna list a lot. And one of the first things that happens is really near the beginning of the film where you're watching, he's talking about not being able to sleep, and then you see that Tyler Durden that splice just pop in there, right?
Yep.
Uh, and that happens with other films.
Happens a few times.
It does happen a few times, but you don't really, you're
Yep.
like, what's going on? That's weird. And they kind of explain.
You're not really paying attention to it. Yeah, no.
Obviously, they explain it later on with like the cigarette burn and everything about what he's doing with the penises and other films. But okay, so here's a couple that again we're just so blatantly obvious upon rewatching.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to jump in, please share yours as well. The first one that kind of happens is when he calls Tyler Durden, and then Tyler star 69s him back, um, which is really fascinating in itself. But what's even more fascinating is that when he calls the number that's supposed to be Tyler Durden numbers, Tyler Durden's number. It's actually the narrator's home phone number where he lived at the condo. So he basically calls himself, which is interesting.
How do you know that? Do you see the number?
Apparently, at some point, you see the number that he flips over and you see his number on the back of the card that's written. But then at some point, you actually are shown, or even earlier, maybe it might be even earlier than that, you're shown like the number of of the
His
narrator.
actual.
Yeah, you got. I mean,
Okay.
who's paying attention to
You
film?
got you got you really got to look for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, Tyler narrator, they're hitting baseballs with the bat, and first time Tyler does it, nothing happens. Second time, the narrator does it. That's when the alarm gets triggered for the car. So the first thing didn't happen.
Oh, okay.
Um, a lot of it's about interacting with like other characters. So when the
Yeah.
narrator enters Lou's Tavern, the the person that walks out basically only acknowledges the narrator, nods at him, but doesn't acknowledge Tyler, as if he's not even there. When Tyler and the narrator are both on the bus, apparently the long guy pushes past Tyler without a word and then says, "Excuse me," to the narrator. So again, interacting with both those two differently. You already mentioned this again off air, but I'll just say it again. Sometimes Tyler spoke for me.
Yep.
Fell down some stairs. Fell
I fell down some stairs.
down-
That was a pretty obvious one looking back on it now.
Super. At the airport valet at one point like acknowledges and says Mr. Durden, and he's looking right at the narrator, not at Tyler.
Mhm.
And Tyler's not even there actually. At the airport, narrator says you could, and this is like again like the theme. Could you wake up as a different person? Like yes, that's obviously what he's doing.
Well, at one point in time, they pass each other in the airport.
They do, and when he says that, the camera follows Tyler,
Right.
which is obviously like a clear indication. Like here's he's referring to.
Right.
Marla after sex says Tyler or the narrator says, "What are you doing in my house?" And Marla says, "Fuck you," as if
What do you
like
do? This is my house. What are you doing in my house?
yeah. uh, one that was just blatant was when he beats himself up in front of the boss, which is a great scene. But then it pauses and he says, "This reminded me of my first fight
My
with."
first time with Tyler. Yep. Nope. Nope. Absolutely.
This is
100%.
where I remember watching this and I thought maybe it was a continuity issue, but it's actually, of course, like this is what happens is when they get into a car crash. Tyler is driving the car, but after the crash, Tyler gets out of the passenger seat and then pulls the narrator from the driver's seat. So presumably the narrator is driving and then gets into the passenger seat and then crashes the car, basically, right?
Yeah,
And then
it's entirely possible.
that's assuming that I would assume that's what kind of was supposed to were implied after we watched it again. That was what happens.
I mean, that's letting go.
And again,
You know,
like interesting
getting
is
up to speed, turning on cruise control, and then getting out of the passengers, out of the driver's seat into the passenger seat, and just letting it happen. Jesus Christ!
just the fact that we never have the fact that we're never told the narrator's name, like, should have been a pretty clear clue that,
I know that's
right?
bullshit.
Chuck,
Well, even looking it up on IMDb, it's like narrator. It's like no, it's Ed Norton's character. It's like narrate. I'm like no, it's a fuck.
called the narrator the whole time. Never say his name. The
Never say his
writer,
name.
the writer again, Chuck Palahniuk. I'm gonna butcher that. Sorry. He actually revealed that he wrote the book. When he wrote the book, he did not actually know that Tyler and Air were the same person until he was two-thirds of the way through the story. At which point he noticed that they acted together as one person and chose to finish the story as such. So that's pretty interesting. So there are we've kind of alluded to the two major characters in this movie. So let's briefly
Yeah,
talk about Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. Edward Norton, I kind of think of these two as they don't have similar career trajectories, but this is kind of like a really important and I don't want to say this is an inflection point of their careers, but they start out similarly in that they're kind of getting some critical acclaim, but Edward Norton like starts out gangbusters. Like the first thing he's basically in,
yeah, he does.
second thing he's in technically, but the first thing he's in, Primal Fear. And boom, off the bat, nominated for Best
Hmm.
Actor.
Yep, that was a good one.
Yeah, and then he follows that up by same thing, nominated for Best Leading Actor for American History X.
That movie was
And
fucked up,
he's
but he was fantastic in it.
he's so great, and then apparently he had to switch back to this role for this. I mean, like normal body weight for this movie after he bulked up big time for American History X.
Yep.
Yes, it was a lot of like waters and vitamin and things like that. So that's allegedly had to shrink down pretty quickly. but he's doing all these kind of like really like art house movies isn't the right word because that term didn't even exist at the time, but it was like critically acclaimed roles. And he doesn't really even get into anything considered like commercial until The Italian Job, which is not until 2003.
Yeah, because it's a, I mean, the industry term would technically be an indie film, but like American history, like it's it's not quite a studio film, but it's bigger than an indie. Like
Yeah.
American History X, I don't, and even this, like I don't consider these are not indie films, but they're also not like major, huge studio films.
They
So it's
weren't
whatever that.
not mega box office hits at all.
Right, right. Critical hits, yes.
Or
Box office hits,
even this one wasn't really a critical hit. It became like a cult classic, and then people are like, "Actually, is it good? Oh, it is good."
people are fucking dumb.
Yeah, that's true. And now after Edward Norton does the Hulk, I think he goes back to or the Incredible Hulk. He goes back to doing a lot of the indie type films, and basically he's just like all Wes Anderson now. That's what he does, which I'm not mad about it. I think he's great in them.
He's a great actor.
Brad Pitt has a very, again, not the same trajectory, but the same ideas. He does a lot of the indie type films or smaller, even I don't want to say part. He's not bit parts, but he's doing things like Interview with the Vampire, River Runs Through It. I guess Interview with the Vampire was kind of a critically or not a or
Because
commercially.
I mean, his breakout was Thelma and Louise,
Yeah,
which was a small part, and then that led to like interview while River runs through it, then interview.
yeah,
Yeah,
and a bunch of other ones too, which we'll get to a
a
little bit.
bunch of other shit. Yeah, I
They're
mean,
not
he's
they aren't crazy commercial hits until he kind of hits this movie, and it's like, oh, this dude's a fucking straight up star, and that's when he starts knocking out like Troy. He does Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He does the Ocean's films.
yeah. I was reading a little bit about him. It's like it's the oh, he's not just a pretty face because he's a good looking guy. It's like oh, okay, like he can actually act. Like he actually knows what he's doing. He's not just a good looking guy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and he gets nominated for a Best Supporting Actor in 1996, and also again for Curious Case of Benjamin Button in 2009. But I mean, really, his biggest acclaim is when he's doing it when he gets nominated for Moneyball, right? And that's
Yep.
where oh, this guy is gone from a really fun up and coming actor that's doing some really unique. I mean, even like what's it called? Meet Joe Black, films like that in the 90s.
Hmm.
And then he does all of these giant action films and these huge blockbusters. And then
He's in like yep, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and you mentioned Troy, and like he turns into an action star for a little bit.
he goes back to now he's a producer and he does things like 12 Years a Slave and he does Moneyball. These are movies that he's like being nominated as a producer, not even an actor.
It was 12 Monkeys. That was the fucking one. That was just he was fucking crazy in that one. Yeah.
Oh, 12 Monkeys. That's right. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big Short, though, like I mean, and these are like again, like
I love that movie. That's so good.
producing. He's putting some really thought into like his roles and like what role he serves in these films, and he finally, acting wise, pays dividends because he finally wins Best Supporting Actor for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, uh,
Hmm.
and he also wins the Oscar for Best Motion Picture for 12 Years a Slave, and that's in 2014. So he's just had like a really unique career, not to mention all the tabloid things with Angelina Jolie and all that kind of stuff and his
Hmm.
problems. Anyway, it's just really interesting to think about Brad Pitt. Like I think if you ask people from our generation versus like perhaps a generation after us or even people that are older than us, like what do you think of Brad Pitt? We're all going to come at it from different angles because he says
There,
something
there's going to be different answers from everybody.
which is pretty cool, right?
Yep.
So let's get into a deep dive. Let's get into the categories. First of all, summary. According to IMDb, an insomniac office worker and a devil-may-care soap maker form an underground fight club that evolves into much more.
Well, that's accurate.
It is accurate. It's pretty funny. This debuted October 15th, 1999, as a runtime of 2 hours and 19 minutes. I always ask that question, how did it feel upon the rewatch time-wise? Did it feel over
It
2 hours?
didn't probably, but it was a fast 2 hours.
I think it has different parts of the film that are paced differently. So the
Yeah.
beginning part is kind of slow and arduous, and obviously you're setting the tone, but it's just Edward Norton talking, narrating what his life is, essentially.
Yeah.
There's funny moments, but it's once Tyler Durden enters, like,
Once they once they go to Paper Street, like
yeah,
once they're in that house, it just starts to and it really starts to ramp up because before I knew it, like he was knocked out, and then the house was empty, and it was almost like, oh shit, we're already there. Like I remember this happening, but like, and then 20 minutes later, the movie's over, and you're
yeah,
like, whoa, what the? It just kind of it turns into a sprint to the end almost.
it really does. Once they finally like start making the soap and they form, they start taking on the recruits and again causing
Right.
chaos. It
And
does,
he's traveling and he's flying all over the country,
yeah.
chasing an invisible man. There's another one. It's like I'm chasing a ghost. Yeah, no shit, you are fucking chasing a ghost.
Yeah, that part speeds up. So yeah, I mean, it has moments of slowness, but it moves pretty quick.
Yeah.
Budget of 63 million estimated, had a gross of 101 million, which it made its money back and almost then some. Here's what's interesting is that it was actually considered a box office disappointment, not a flop, obviously, but it was number one at the box office in its first weekend, and then it just kind of like fizzled out. And apparently, the critical reaction was kind of mixed. But what made this movie popular was the cult following and essentially the DVD, VHS sales that followed after. I mean, we already mentioned like I mean, the first time we watched it was a rental. We did not see it.
I did not see it in the theater. There's no way.
This movie had 12 wins and 38 nominations for just a ton of various awards. It was nominated for Best Effects for an Academy Award, Best Effects, Sound Effects Editing, Ren Kleiss and Richard Hinz. ES rankings, Rotten Tomatoes give it a critic score of 81% and then overall a 96%. That is very high.
It's a good movie.
IMDb gives it an 8.8. That's actually
I
also
like. That's actually pretty high.
Spielberg Award for directing David Fincher. He has 95 credits, and there are a lot of them that are music videos, which was kind of surprising upon going through his filmography. But some of the movies he's done in no particular order, the TV show Mindhunter, The Social Network, recently The Killer, Gone Girl, Seven, even Alien 3, which, listen, I think that's underrated. An underrated Alien film.
I liked Alien 3. We got some knives.
The Tarantino Award for writing, again, it's based on the novel by Chuck Palahniuk. Um, he actually stated after this movie came out that he found the film to be an improvement on his novel. So
That's usually not the case. I'll
let's
just
call
say
that
that.
the opposite of what how Stephen King feels about all of his movie adaptations.
Well, and honestly, the opposite of what you feel about most movie adaptations. In the overwhelming majority of cases, the book's always going to be better. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. Which is again fascinating that he felt the opposite. And the
Exactly.
screenplay was written by Jim Oles. He also wrote the screenplay for Jumper, and that was about the top thing I could come up with that he's also written
Hey,
this.
that's got your boy in it, so
I
it's
like
all good.
Jumper. Hayden, Anakin,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
One of his best roles. Tom Hanks, speaking of best roles, Tom Hanks best leading role award. Edward Norton plays the narrator and Brad Pitt plays Tyler Durden.
I mean, it's Brad Pitt.
Okay, the answer is Brad Pitt, obviously. But the way that Edward Norton plays the straight man, so to speak, to Tyler Durden's, and they kind of switch roles
Crazy man.
in the movie,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's like the wild card, right? I
Hmm.
think you don't have a person that can play it that straight, but then is dabbling in crazy a little bit. Um, there's moments in the film that are just not as powerful, like the part where he beats the shit out of Jared Leto, where you're like, oh fuck, like where'd that come from, right? He's,
I felt like destroying something beautiful.
he's kind of like dipping his toe into it randomly, like, oh man, I can't believe you hit me. Like, let's do that again. And you're like, okay. And he's kind of slowly devolving
I
into
got a quote for that,
the
so
diva.
we can talk about that.
You want to say it right now? Go ahead.
Well, I just want to make sure I don't mess it up. Oh, there it is. Sooner or later, we all become what Tyler wants us to be.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I think Edward Norton does a great job of like showing that as he's becoming and mirroring his idol essentially. But Brad Pitt is fucking amazing in this movie, so he
Yeah,
wins.
he is. He wins.
Other four Jacksons, I only got two nominees because I feel like there's only two other major characters, like main characters in this movie, and you could maybe only you could argue only one, but I'm gonna put two on there. So Meatloaf plays Robert Paulson, and Helena Bonham Carter plays Marla Singer.
It's HBC. It's Helen Bonham Carter.
It is, despite there
It
being
really is.
that we all remember, his name was Robert Paulson.
Well, yeah,
Meatloaf has a very impactful part of this movie, but Helen Bonham Carter is she's fucking phenomenal in this.
she's great in this movie. She's fantastic.
I had fun recasting her, I think, more than I had fun recasting the other people personally, but more on that later on.
It was more difficult for the other people, but it's because of how I did it.
Yeah,
So
okay. All
we'll
right.
get to that in a second.
Backup singers. I have two. There's probably more. Jared Leto plays Angel Face, which is a fun name, and Eon Bailey plays Ricky, and I know him best from Band
And the
of
brothers. Yep.
Brothers. Yeah. So who do you got? Who do you got there?
I mean, it's you know what? I'll give it to the Eon Bailey, just because I think he's good. And again, he like the quote that I just said. It's like he's kind of the epitome of that because he's the first guy in the house. He's the first guy on the steps. He's working in the narrator's office. So he's kind of you kind of see his evolution along with the main characters because he started off as like a copy boy who couldn't remember if you ordered white pens or black pens or blue, but then he beats the shit out of a fucking Mater D, and then you just kind of see that evolution of him, and then he's you know arguably like one of like the more senior members of Project Mayhem.
Yeah, I no, he stood out so much like a sore thumb. Jared Leto is shocking. You're like, oh shit, that's Jared Leto. But
No,
to your point, I think the winner definitely has to be Eon Bailey. John Williams category. The composers of this film are titled the Dust Brothers,
yeah,
and I tried to do some research on them, and they've done a few things here and there. The Dust Brothers, their names are John King and Michael Simpson. What I found interesting because I did try to like pay attention to the music. It's just kind of like not there. Like there are some moments, but it has very little to do with setting tone and impact. In fact, I would argue the lack of music actually add to this. Probably why sound effects, like why they were nominated for that, because that's really it's kind of a silent movie.
yeah, it is, and it's in that. And again, the style of the time being 1999, it's in that kind of that trip hop vein of it's
Hmm.
again, it's there, but it's not like it's very present at the very beginning of the movie when they have that kind of like the montage and all the credits. Like it's really there, but then everything else is just kind of muted.
Yeah, yeah,
But again, like I think that was the point.
I agree. I hadn't really thought about that till like watching it with that lens. I was like, oh, that actually kind of adds a lot to this.
Yep.
But again, to your point, but there is some of that. It's actually got kind of it's got an Ocean's 11 vibe to it in certain moments where it's like this team of ragtag idiots that are tackling the prosecutor, or they're you know defacing a mural or whatever the fucking things they're supposed to be tasked to do by Tyler Durden.
Well,
Uh,
or
it's
they're
playful, it's not serious, right?
you know you're gonna pick a fight with someone and then you're gonna lose. Like the
But
music in the background of that whole like montage of people trying to do that, like it's very kind of silly kind of music. So the music definitely matched the mood of whatever scene you were watching.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So speaking of scenes to nerd out on, there are a lot. This is really hard because the scenes are so short and quick that
Right.
I have like 25 written down, and there were way more than that. So I don't necessarily need to read all of these, but I will uh read some of them. And please, and these are in order, so add more as we go.
Yep.
I had I mean there's the introduction of the narrator, which is kind of like a montage. A lot of these are montage, and montage is like maybe a cliche term, but it's a
It's a
series of
mod. I mean,
it's
it's
a
what
really,
we. It's
really
yeah.
cool scenes that with voiceover or audio, something over the top of it as he's explaining something going on, right? So
Hmm.
the first montage quote, so to speak, is the introduction of the narrator and his essentially like the fact that he's an insomniac and like what he does. He just shops online and buys fucking bullshit.
Nice horse shit. Yeah,
And
he's a
then
consumer.
he consumes things, he buys things, and then we get to Bob and the help groups, and that's a whole nother montage of him going to these help groups and getting to know and feeling like, he can, I don't know, cry essentially around
Right.
these strangers. And then Marla shows up. This is the next part, and intro of Marla plus the scene of the woman who's is about to die and just wants to have sex for the last time and has lubricants and you know, anal things, just in case anyone wanted to know. And then we lead right into more. I just put more Marla, which is them negotiating what
The
groups they,
days.
the
Yep.
days, what groups they can go to. Her stealing and selling like clothes out of the
Out of
laundry.
the dryer. Yeah.
Then we get into the single serving friends, and that kind of ties right into like Tyler's introduction. It's not really the same thing, but because he says a lot about single serving friends and what they mean, but then leads right into Tyler Durden on the plane.
On the
Uh,
plane. Yep.
so we have the plane scene with Tyler. Then I have next I wrote down bar scene and quote, "Let me tell you a little bit about Tyler Durden." And he explains Tyler's things that he does. He defaces.
He farts on meringues. He pees in soup, and
He
yeah,
slices penises into films.
yeah, he places penises in films. And as for the cream of mushroom soup, I won't even go there.
Don't ask.
Yeah, don't ask.
I, I just wrote down first fight, which is between him and
So
Tyler,
so did I. First fight.
and then we're back to another montage with Tyler and the narrator living together, and the fights are starting to grow at the
Yep.
bar at
I,
Lou's.
I wrote down. I wrote down the club grows.
Yeah. Then we got Marla's cry for help, which leads into Tyler and her and their sexual rendezvous. Um, the first confrontation with the boss is the next scene, which is he's reading the rules to Fight Club. He goes, "Is this yours?" I don't know, but if I were you, I'd be really careful
I'd be
with
really careful.
that. That's like some fucking psychopath shit. That's awesome, though.
Oh, and that's another one of those things. Tyler's words coming out of my mouth. And I used to be such a nice guy. Like another one of those signs of like you should have seen this coming.
Yeah, I'm turning to him for sure.
Right.
The next part is Tyler explaining the rules of Fight Club, and it's like a whole like speech he gives about the challenges of the middle class, and then that also connects right to Lou showing up and let us stay, Lou, let us stay, and that fucking scene is haunting and also fucking amazing.
Yeah. There was one before that I wrote down,
Yep.
and it was the chemical burn.
Oh, that is before that, isn't it? Yeah.
That's before, yeah, the chemical burn, where it's
Okay.
this is your pain. This is your thing. Don't deal with it like those dead people do. No, be here. It's the greatest moment of your life, and you're off somewhere else. Like that whole thing.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a good scene. The next part I've got is the go out and start a fight, a series of shots of all the minions going to start fights. Um, and then the final fight with the boss, so to speak, confrontation, where he beats himself up and
He beats himself.
it's his,
And right there, at our perfect moment together.
he now had corporate
We
sponsorship.
know how corporate sponsorship. This is how Tyler and I could do Fight Club 7 nights a week.
Uh,
Amazing.
well,
Amazing.
that leads into everyone. You kind of see again, like God, montage is not the right word, but a series of really quick cutting scenes of them all of the people in this group, this Fight Club, just wrecking havoc or chaos at their job, doing little things to kind of fuck things up, like misplacing keys or
Yeah.
like riding the whatever it is. Like they're all doing something slightly wrong just to kind of fuck the like society essentially. I just wrote down Raymond, which is a
I wrote down human sacrifice.
pretty powerful scene in this, the next day of Raymond's life will be the most beautiful day of his life.
And it's interesting, and we can talk about it now or we can talk about it later. That's his idea of a human sacrifice. It's not
Hmm.
killing the guy.
Yeah.
It's setting him down that path that's completely against the path that he wants to go down. It's no, you need to go to school. You're going to do this. You're gonna go to school. You're gonna get good grades. You're gonna get a good job, and then you're gonna make money, and you're gonna buy shit. Blah 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 blah. Like everything that he's against, he's setting this guy on the path by threatening to kill him,
Yeah.
and that's his version of a human sacrifice, which is kind of fucked up.
Which is very fucked up. The next part is basically all the recruits start showing up. And
Showing up at the house. Yep.
you're not gonna get fucking in here. Get the fuck off my porch. You're too fucking blonde.
Blonde.
Well, and then again, Angel Face is loved, and so now the narrator beats the shit out of Angel Face and puts
Yep.
Leto into the hospital.
Yeah, he fucked him up pretty good.
Car crash. Next scene I had. His name was Robert Paulson. Is the next scene after that, which is just so fucking iconic and so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. It's like I get it. In death, a member of Project Mayhem gets a name. No, 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 no. I need like Ed Norton. No, 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 no.
Well, what's the guy? So who's the guy that starts the Holt McClaney. He's in a
Yeah,
bunch.
he's
Uh,
in Mindhunter.
he's in Mindhunter. Yeah, he's
He's in
awesome.
Mindhunter. Yeah, he's great.
He's so good in Mindhunter. Yeah, but he's also I've seen this.
Yep,
Sorry, shout out to Holt.
absolutely.
I kind of have the next kind of series of scenes together, which is when the narrator figures out like he doesn't figure it out, but he starts chasing Tyler across the country. And again, I'm
Yeah,
chasing it.
all the flights and like going in the basements and going in the bars and
Yeah.
yep.
He's starting to figure it out, and he's like, "Why are they all treating me like this and not telling me what's going on?" And it's got this weird like wink, wink, like we're not supposed to talk about Fight Club, Mr. Durden.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. Say no more.
And we got I got two more scenes. Add more if you'd like. The fight in the garage, and
Yep.
then the final confrontation and the shooting of his own face. Any more I missed?
I don't think so.
It's pretty extensive. That was 20 plus you
I
added
mean, that's
close to
that
40.
was yeah, that was a lot.
All right, I'll start with my favorite. My favorite series of scenes is it's the part that I laughed the most at. I laughed out loud because I forgot about it. It's the go out and fight, go out and fight somebody
And lose. Yep.
and
This
lose.
is a lot harder than you think it is.
But the best part that I mean, there's a lot of moments that are great in that like series
Well,
of.
when Bob chases the guy on the bike, that's the best part of the whole
See,
thing.
I like the
Or when Holt is like putting water on the Bible, that's a good one too.
oh,
They're all
oh those are so good. Those are both so great. I like the hose part.
the
Uh,
host part. Yeah, yeah,
Excuse me, sir, you squirted me and you just
yeah.
again. Oh, that was funny.
Knocks the Bible out of his hand and just
Yeah,
sprays it.
yeah,
Guy pushes him. He drops the hose, pushes him back,
yeah.
and it like the whatever it was, a pastor or a priest, like hits him, and you could tell like Holt's like, oh, but it just didn't phase him at all.
Yeah, yeah. And then he
I gotta,
takes.
I gotta, I gotta pretend like he's winning. Oh yeah, no, no, I don't think so.
All right, well, that's my favorite. What's yours?
I don't know, man. There's so many. There are so many good scenes. Oh, we forgot one. Kidnapping the mayor. That was a good one.
Oh yeah, I have that in here.
Do we
Oh,
write that?
oh,
I
you know
don't.
what? I skipped it. That's after the recruits show up at the door before Angel Face gets beat up. They
Yeah,
kidnap the mayor or the prosecutor, whatever it is. He says drop all
the
your
mayor. It's
Drop
the
all.
mayor.
Okay, drop all the charges or whatever.
Drop all the charges. The people that were after you, whatever, whatever, whatever. Um,
The rubber band around the balls, which is funny.
I'm gonna say probably. I don't know. There's so many good scenes. I'm gonna say the chemical burn.
I
Just
think
be,
you would since you brought it up.
just because like
Well, that's a pivotal moment in the movie.
it's a very pivotal moment where it's like the dynamic starts to shift.
That's when he know exactly. That's when he's no longer just the narrator. He is becoming
Slowly turning into Tyler
seeing
Durden.
Tyler Durden and
Yeah,
him
they're
become
they're
one.
co- they're they're joining into one person now. They're not two separate entities.
You can't see on the screen the audio platform.
We're
Both moving our hands towards one another. So,
very slowly.
Heath Ledger Award. It's tough to pick who is the best scene stealer. I have four nominees. I think there's one clear winner, but I'm gonna at least I want to recognize a few people. Helena Bonham Carter is fucking amazing as Marla. She she holds her own against Edward Norton and Brad Pitt, which is fucking hard to do.
It's hard to do.
Jared Leto was a definitely like like a head turn, like, oh, that's fucking
Hey,
like that's Jared Leto.
hey, I know who that is.
Meatloaf is great. I think he's an underrated actor. Of the few things he's been in, he's really good in them. He
Wayne's
did
World,
Wayne's World for sure, and Rocky Horror Picture Show, obviously.
obviously, obviously.
And what's the song? Jana loves it, and I can't ever sing it with her. The music video of
Bat out of hell. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. That
those are
one.
those are all real all great music videos, which he's amazing in.
I mean, Bat out of hell was the album, so whatever. Sad that I know that, but I do.
Paradise by the
Dashboard.
Dashboard by the Paradise Light.
No, I think it's
Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
that's what I thought it was. Let me look it up.
Jana's gonna be so fucking mad at me that I don't
No,
know the.
you got it right. Paradise by the Dashboard Light. You got it
Okay,
right.
got
That's what
it.
I thought it was.
Paradise by the Dashboard Light. First try.
Nailed it. Edit
But
that shit out.
that's a cutscene there. All right. Paradise by the Dashboard Light. Awesome. But it's hard not to give it to Brad Pitt. And I hate giving like scene stealing the main character, but God, he's so fucking charismatic in this movie. It's unreal.
And that's why I gave it to Helen Bonham Carter.
I like it. I support it.
Just because I agree. Brad Pitt is brilliant in this movie, but it felt wrong giving it to him. But you're also gravitating towards her when she's on screen too.
Yeah.
Just because she's in the same vein, like you don't know what she's gonna do. She proved that like when you first met her.
Right.
Like she's walking into a group smoking, saying, "This is cancer, right?" Like, what the fuck? What is wrong with this person?
Yeah. No, I did say she goes toe
Hey,
to toe with both those
you
two.
still have your balls. You still have your balls. Technically, I have more right to be here than you do. Are you serious? I don't know. Am I? Like, she sets the tone really fast.
Just take those clothes. I'm selling them.
Yes, I'm selling some clothes, like grabbing his by his balls.
Okay. I think it's a
Amazing.
great pick. Good call. So speaking of Dante's Peak, let's start with Helen Bonham Carter. She makes an appearance in Frankenstein in 1994. She's in a whole bunch of stuff before that. She's in like over 100 credits, like 130 or something like that, which is like more than I expected. 1998, she's actually nominated for an Oscar for Best Leading Role in The Wings of the Dove. Never even heard of that before.
No,
I
I'm
did,
assuming she didn't win.
she did not win. I actually am curious.
Who did? I'm
Well,
looking it up too.
1998, maybe 97 movie. I don't know. Who knows? We can look this up real quick. But Wings of
Oh, Helen Hunt won for As Good as It Gets. It was Helen Hunt, Kate Winslet for Titanic, Julie
Mm,
Christie for Afterglow, Judi Dench for Mrs. Brown, and Helen Bonham Carter or Helena Bonham Carter for The Wings of the Dove. So
Wings of the Dove. Well, Never heard of it before, but that's
The
pretty.
70th Academy Awards.
She comes out of Blazing, does this in 99 the next year, Planet of the Apes in 2001, Big Fish, which is one of my personal favorites in '03, Corpse Bride in '05. And let's not forget, she also at one point, not that we need to identify her as who she's married to, but she does marry Tim Burton. And that shows by her
Yes.
casting and movies she's in, like Big Fish, like Corpse Bride, Sweeney Todd in '07, Harry
Oh,
Harry Potter and the
sweet.
Order of Phoenix is also in '07. Then she's also nominated for an Oscar for The King's Speech in 2011.
Okay.
Is a fucking she's a banger in Les Mis in 2012. She's been in other things since then, a couple more Harry Potter movies, a bunch of other stuff, but like those are I think that's like her peak is in that range somewhere.
Yeah.
It's hard not to say King's Speech in 11 because she's not playing like kind of a wacky character. She's playing it straight. She's playing with King George, what is it, King George, his wife.
Mhm.
Pretty serious film about World War II. I don't know. I think that or World War II, World War One. Can't remember. Either way, two. Okay. Either way, I think that's her peak. 2011.
And you could say 11, 12 because she had Les Mis right after that.
Yeah,
I personally, obviously this, but then Sweeney Todd. Yeah,
I think there's a
person. That's a personal level.
no.
That's
There's
not
an
a
argument to be made about '07 because she's in Sweeney Todd, but she's also Bellatrix Lestrange in Order of the Phoenix for Harry Potter, and that was a
okay.
huge film. Obviously, you've never seen it, but you're
Obviously,
aware of it. Um,
no. I'm aware of it. Yeah, I'm
uh,
aware there were Harry Potter books and movies.
and that's a big role, and she was really, really good in it. Honestly, I'm going to go ahead and I think it's okay to say like two different peaks. So, box office draw is in '07. Sweeney Todd and Harry Potter. That's fucking.
Yeah, 'cause she's got Johnny Depp. Yep,
And then as far as like critical acclaim, Les Mis
it's
and The
yep
King.
for sure.
Okay. David Fincher. I mentioned already that he's done a lot of music videos, 60 plus to actually be specific. But here are some of the music videos he's done. Patrick Swayze, She's Like the Wind in 1987. Paula Abdul, Straight Up, 1989.
Okay, I like that one.
Aerosmith, Janie's Got a Gun, 1989.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. Madonna, Vogue, 1990.
Also a good one.
And George Michael, Freedom in 1990.
Jesus,
I think that's the best one in my opinion of all those.
he said those are pretty good.
So then we get to his movies, Alien 3, 92, Seven, 95, The Game,
Fucking
97. This is 99.
the game was fucked up.
He does a few random things, but the next big thing I think is Zodiac in '07, Social Network, 2010,
Good
Girl with
one.
a Tattoo, 2011, Gone Girl, 2014, Mindhunter, Gone Too Soon, RIP, 2017 and 2019, and The Killer, which was starring Michael Fassbender in 2023. So, what's your peak?
Let's say the '90s,
Just the '90s in general?
specifically the mid '90s. Between like, honestly, it's seven and this.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I do think
Well,
though
I guess this that was '95 and '99, so it's like the mid to late '90s then.
it's hard not to mention that I forgot to say Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which is in '09, but I don't really like the movie. But he was also nominated for, so I think he's nominated for director for Social Network. I think that like 2010 actually might be as like his.
That was a good one.
Are
I,
we?
I enjoy that movie.
Yeah, back to that conversation. Like, are we talking box office? Are we talking popularity? Are we talking like
Personal.
talent? um, I think we're talking
It's
about his.
just what we think like is the most like it's just in our personal opinion like
Yeah,
his best work.
I think it's late '90s with Seven and the game and this. I love the
Yeah,
game.
I think all of those.
Okay, all right. So let's say late '90s. Even though Social Network was incredible and Mindhunter was one of the best shows.
Awesome. Excellent.
Up next, I have Brad Pitt. So Brad Pitt, we already mentioned he kind of uh, jumps on the
He's done,
scene. Thelma and
he's done a
Louise.
lot of things.
Done a lot of things. 1991 is when he does Thelma and Louise. I couldn't list all of them. I listed roughly, I don't know, 15. Cool World, 92. River Runs Through It, 92. The 90s are crazy for him. He's doing like two or three movies a year. California with a K, 1993. True Romance, 93. Interview with the Vampire, 94. Legends of the Fall, 94. Seven, 95. 12 Monkeys, 95. Now he does a movie a year. Sleepers, 96. Devil Zone, 97. Meet Joe Black, 98. This, 99. Snatch, 2000. Ocean's 11, 2001. Takes a
Fuck.
Takes a break, does other movies, but here's the next one. Troy, oh 04. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, oh 05. Benjamin Button, oh 08. And at that point, he enters into his, I call, producing and Tarantino phase of his career. Which
Right.
again, we know in 2020 he won Best Supporting for Once Upon a Time. That can't be his peak. His peak is way earlier than that.
Yeah.
I,
If
I
we're gonna say, like, if we're gonna say what's his peak, I'm gonna, I'm gonna say Troy because everything from like '94 ramping up, like, it all leads to that. Now, I'm not saying that's the best thing. I'm just saying that like the run that he went on from '94 to '01 was pretty fucking good.
yeah, I
But
think
that was kind of that was the kind of the peak of that mountain was Troy.
yeah,
Was him playing Achilles.
you're probably right. The sad thing is after that happened, he like fell off the cliff pretty
That's
quick.
what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that's the peak of the mountain because every like the stuff after that just wasn't it didn't compare to that what
Yeah.
7, 8 year run.
Yeah. And I just watched Troy again recently because we're obsessed with this musical called Epic. It has to do with the Trojan War. Anyway, actually, it's the Odyssey, but obviously the Odyssey is the end of the Trojan.
They're making that.
I know. Yeah. Um,
Matt David. Sorry.
I don't disagree with you. I do think though that his actual peak is all right. His peak's Troy, but without Ocean's 11, Snatch, and this, he doesn't get there. So those two
Mm-mm.
movies are like the catapult to him being fucking the
Well,
big.
that's what I'm saying. Like all those movies are they just build on top of it, build on each other. It's
Okay.
that it's that entire road up.
All right. I agree. Troy, like it. Edward Norton. So he starts out again. We were mentioned like first. I mean, it's his second. His second role. His first major role is Primal Fear. He's nominated for Best Supporting, which I fucking love that movie, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But let me again. He is very similar to Brad Pitt, and he's rattling off multiple films in the same year, almost for the first half of his career. Also in '96, People versus Larry Flint. In '98, he does American History X and Rounders. He does this in '99. In '02, he does Death to Smoochie. And also, I had to put that on there. Come on, I had to put
Of
it on.
course you did, because that movie's amazing.
He also does Red Dragon and
Okay.
24 Hour, all in the same year.
All
That's a,
right.
those are fucking great movies. The Italian Job is in '03. Kingdom of Heaven is '05. The Illusionist is in '08, as well as The Incredible Hulk. And then at that point, he also enters into a phase which I call the Wes Anderson phase, where he's in five Wes Anderson movies, and he's going to be in a sixth: Moonrise Kingdom, Grand Budapest Hotel, Isle of Dogs, French Dispatch, Asteroid City, and a new one coming out I think next year. So
Yep.
that can't be his peak, but he's amazing in those movies. So what do you think his peak is?
Probably the early 2000s.
I think it's this. I
You
really
think this is it?
I think
99?
he comes off of in '98 he does American History X, Rounders, and then this in '99. In 3 years he rattles those movies off. I hate to say his peak is in his first 5 years of his career, but I, I think Red Dragon is like he is like the guy. and he's adapting a. I mean, he's taken on the mantle of the. I can't think of his name right now.
Hannibal Lecter.
Thank you, Jesus. All right, let me start that over. What an idiot. Another cutscene. Cut that. Cut that. Um, he's taken on the mantle of a Hannibal Lecter featured film, the prequel to Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
Pretty big moment, I think, for here.
I
So
mean, Anthony Hopkins was not bad in Silence of the Lambs, and he was barely on screen. That's a whole other story.
no, but I really like Red Dragon a lot. That's a good movie.
I know I've seen it, but it's been forever. But I
It's
definitely watched
got
it just
it's
because
got
Silence of the Lambs was so good.
it's got Ray Fiennes too, who plays like the Red Dragon. Pretty good.
Hmm.
Okay, all right. I'm good with you. Early 2000s. New edition. I'm not sure you even saw this. Book to movie adaptations. So this is not the winner, but I will tell you this is. I'm going to give
I
you.
know what I know what the winner is. You just keep going. I'll
Okay,
tell you
good.
what the
I
winner is
got
at the
some
end.
nominees according to a lot of different rankings. This is considered in the top 50 though of all time
Okay.
movie book to movie adaptations, which is pretty impressive. Here are some that are also commonly mentioned. Lord of the Rings, all of them.
Obviously.
Not The Hobbit. Uh, Harry Potter, all of them.
Hmm.
Gone with the Wind,
Okay.
The Help, Shawshank Redemption, Stand by Me, and Jurassic Park. Did you have well,
Okay.
do you have others?
I mean, the most obvious one that comes to mind is Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter.
Yeah.
But
Which is
it
great.
was such like that. Throw everything out. That book was fucking entertaining as hell, and that movie was awful.
Do you still have my book?
I have no idea. Um, couldn't tell you.
No,
Maybe I'd have to check upstairs.
makes me sad. Uh
You make me sad.
okay, so I think
I mean,
that
there's so in all like as far as accuracy is concerned, I have no idea. But Die Hard is a book adaptation,
it's true. Yeah.
so that's definitely one that comes to mind.
Yeah, that I mean that's a pretty good one. I think that it's hard to there's so many rankings and lists and I spent a good amount of time, probably more time on this I should have, but
And like that's like
it
this like more Stephen King than you can probably list.
well I was gonna say like do you consider it based on quality of film? Do you consider it based on quality of book? How closely it is to be or adapted, or is it like overall popularity of both? Because if it's overall popularity of both, the answer is Jurassic Park. Or or
Yes,
or The Lord of the Rings. One of those two are the winners.
or Congo. I'm just kidding.
Or Sphere. Yeah, all the
Or Sphere.
yeah.
All the
So
Michael
and
Crichton
again, Harry
books.
Potter's. I mean, how do you keep Harry Potter off the? I mean,
And then
it's
and you also have
like
like I mean,
you almost
I'd be
you need a Mount Rushmore, honestly.
you would
And
need a Mount Rushmore, and I'd be remiss to mention it because Orf, shout out Orf, talked about it this weekend. Hunt for Red October.
sure, yeah.
Tom Clancy has a lot of like
Mhm.
clear and present danger. All the like Patriot games, those are all Tom Clancy books.
All the John Grisham movies and
All the John Grisham Rainmaker. Rainmaker's a fantastic movie. Never read the book, but I do enjoy Matt Damon and Danny DeVito.
well, if you look at a lot of these films, besides Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, there's a giant contingency or a time period in the 90s where it was like, let's basically make every single book that Michael Crichton or Tom
They,
Clancy or John Grisham wrote.
they were no, they were buying the movie rights before the book was done
I know.
because they knew they were working on another book.
So let's just say the peak is late 90s, early
Awesome.
2000s of adapting books to movies.
Absolutely.
Okay. Last peak, shocking endings. It's hard not to say this time period, but I'm gonna rattle off the top 10, 10, 12, whatever. Most shocking endings. In 1941, Citizen Kane. And then we skip ahead
Rosebud. Sorry.
40 or 55 years. Usual Suspects,
There you
1995.
go. Okay. Yep.
Primal
That's
Fear, 1996. Or
yep.
Ed Norton movie. Fallen, 1998. The Sixth Sense, 1999.
It's
This
on
is
there. Yep.
also in 1999. Unbreakable, 2000. Memento, 2000.
That movie was awesome.
So good. Mystic Rivers in '03. The Prestige is in '06. Gone
Okay.
Girl,
Yep.
Gone Girls in 2014, and Get Out is in 2017. What was
Would
it?
you put seven on that list?
Okay, I'll put it on there. What is it, 97?
I can't remember.
Pretty sure it's 97. Okay, so yeah, I'll add it there.
I wrote that one down because I'm like, it's not. It's not. It's not a shocking, like a quote shocking ending, and like with like
95.
in like the same vein of like the Sixth Sense or like you mentioned the Usual Suspects, but like it's still a pretty fucked up way to end a movie. Like you don't see that coming,
Okay, yeah, maybe it's like it's not shocking because it's like, oh, that's fucked up. It's more of like a I cannot believe that happened. Did not see that coming.
right? Like that's how this movie ends. Really, it's over now. Oh, okay, all right. It
Yeah,
was like
but
it was like the ending of Miss Saigon when we saw that. It's like, oh, okay, it's over now. Oh, okay.
that
What
was
the
shocking for all the wrong
that?
reasons.
Oh my God, yeah, it was. Anyways,
Well, and like movies that are like considered mystery films, I don't consider Clue or like Knives Out, like you can't really put that because that's the premise of the film. It's a mystery film, right?
right, right.
Having said that, there is one clear answer here. Let me say what it is.
Sure,
It's a Sixth Sense. And
yeah,
if you don't say it's not Sixth Sense, you're crazy. I do think though that this being in the same year, 99 is the peak for this type of film.
it's got to be.
The Sixth Sense has to be like, I mean, come on. Like
Yeah,
that was the moment where everyone was like, "Did you see that? Don't spoil it." Because
M Night.
it's a fucking crazy ending. And Unbreakable comes out the next year and all the other things he's done, like, yeah, it's hard not to say I mean, 99 is the answer, but like Sixth Sense wins based on one particular property for sure.
For sure.
Cool the Raven. You want to start? Or you want me to start?
I mean, I can start
You start.
on a long enough timeline. The survivor rate for everyone drops to zero.
I feel like we should just do all narrator quotes and then all Tyler Durden quotes, but
These mine are in order
they're the same. Oh, are they really? All right,
for
well,
the
then
most part. Mine are in order.
mine are not. So, okay. The things you own end up owning you. Tyler Durden.
That's a that's a good one. Oxygen gets you high. In a catastrophic emergency, you're taking giant panic breaths. Suddenly, you become euphoric, docile. You accept your fate. It's all right here. Emergency water landing, 600 miles an hour. Blank faces, calm as Hindu cows.
It's only, speaking of Tyler Durden, it's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything.
Oh, I love that quote. Now, a question of etiquette. As I pass, do I give you the ass or the crotch?
That that's my one of my top three quotes. Just so you know, that's maybe number one. Let's see. You're not your job. You're not your how much money you have in the bank. You're not the car you drive. You're not the contents of your wallet. You're not your fucking khakis. You're the all-seeing, all-dancing crap of the world.
That's right.
Second favorite quote.
Martha Stewart. Fuck Martha Stewart. Martha's polishing the brass on the Titanic. It's all going down, man.
If I did have a tumor, I name it Marla.
We're a generation of men raised by women, and I'm wondering if another woman is really the answer we need.
Hmm. Do you want to do a back and forth here with the police officer and the narrator? Do you
I don't
have that?
have that one.
Oh, you're making a big mistake, fellas. You said you would say
You
that.
say that.
I'm not Tyler Durden. You
You
told
said you say
me.
that. You say that too.
All right, then. I'm Tyler Durden. Listen to me. I'm giving a direct order. We're aborting this mission right now. You
You
said,
said you definitely say that.
okay, good. All right. I figured you could do it
I
anyway.
knew I knew that one. Yeah, I could do that one. All right. We're the middle children of history, man. No, no purpose or place. We have no Great War, no Great Depression. Our Great War is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives. We've
Mhm.
all been raised on television to believe that one day we'll be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't. And we're slowly learning that fact, and we're very, very pissed off.
That's when the camera's shaking. It's awesome.
Yep.
I am Jackson Flame's sense of rejection. And frankly, all of the Jax quotes are fucking hilarious.
All the Jack quotes are great. They are pretty good. Um, our fathers were models for God. If our fathers failed, what does it say about God?
It could be worse. A woman can cut off your penis while you're sleeping and toss it out the window of a moving car.
The people you're after are the people you depend on. We cook your meals, we haul your trash, we connect your calls, we drive your ambulances, we guard you while you sleep. Do not fuck with us.
Fuck with it.
That's a good one.
Look, nobody takes this more seriously than me. That kind of was my life, okay? I loved every stick of furniture in that place. That was not just a bunch of stuff that got destroyed. It was me.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
Yep.
You are the same decaying organic matter as everything else.
My God, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school.
That was such a weird. That was good. I didn't write that one down, but it was pretty good. Um, God damn, we just had a near life experience after the car crash.
Um, Boss, is that your blood? Narrator. Some of it,
Some
yeah.
of it.
I like laughed out loud louder than I should have with that
He
quote.
just, he just, he just, he cigarette hanging out of his mouth. Some of it, yeah.
Some of it,
You
yeah.
can't, you can't smoke in here. And he coughed. so,
Fucking awesome. Fucking so great. Yeah.
so great. Um, all the ways that you wish you could be, that's me. I look like you want to look. I fuck like you want to fuck. I am smart, capable, and mostly I am free in all the ways that you are not.
All right, I only have one more, and it's the big one. We already kind of said part of it. First rule of Fight Club, second rule of Fight Club. Third rule of Fight Club, someone yells stop, goes limp, taps out, the fight is over. Fourth rule, only two guys to a fight. Fifth rule, one fight
One
at a
fight at a
time.
time.
Sixth rule, no shirts, no shoes. Seventh rule, fights go on as long as they have to. And the eighth and final rule, this is your first time in Fight Club. You have to fight.
You have to fight.
Awesome.
That's a fucking great one. I think I got one more. Let me see. Yeah, it's towards the end. Whoa, whoa. Okay, you are now firing a gun at your imaginary friend near 400 gallons of nitroglycerin.
Uh-huh.
So funny. I think that was all the ones I had.
I mean, great quote.
Oh, there's another good one. Sorry.
Yep.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
You hit me right in the ear, man.
No, it's perfect. And then there's a couple other like quick ones. Self improvement is masturbation.
hmm
And then the beginning, it's like, what's this? This is a chemical burn. Um, yeah, I think that's it.
You're canceled. So I already mentioned a lot about this, but I do think there could be some more diversity. I feel like it's a lot, too many Proud Boys that are using this as their anthem, or as their uh, what's the movie that Hitler made?
Mein Kampf. He
No,
wrote a book,
no, that's the book. What's the
Nation's Pride,
Pride of the Nation? Yeah.
Pride of the Nations. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Maybe was Nation's Pride the version of the movie from Inglorious Bastards? I
Could
can't
have,
remember.
could
I
have been.
think it could have been. That might be why I had that in there. I was close. It doesn't matter. I know what you meant.
That's all I got though.
I didn't have much. Again, like I think this
Oh no, Triumph of the Will. Sorry, it's called Triumph of the Will.
Tribe of the Will. Okay.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Continue.
Anyway, It doesn't matter. Um, but no, we kind of talked about it at the beginning where the like it's still. I mean, it's still like the movie. Like it's still relevant.
Yeah. Another Spider-Man. Let's do some recasting. So I wanted to recast Robert Wilson because let's recast Meatloaf. RIP died in 2022. He was 52 at the time.
I wrote down one name.
I have two.
Okay,
I have a feeling we have the same one.
go ahead.
Wrote down Paul Giamatti as my
Nope.
first nominee. And my second one was Jack Black.
Okay, I thought about Jack Black. I wrote down Brendan Fraser.
Oh, fuck is like the whale type Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, like because he's. I mean, he's not that big now, but like he's a bigger guy now. He's not like he was
Well,
when he was doing the Mummy.
and I don't want to step on nerd facts. I'll just say right now, like Meatloaf was not that big either. He wore a 100-pound fat suit.
Did he really?
You know
Well,
that?
I guess he really like yeah, he was there. He didn't have like Bob has, but like
And
he didn't have that. Yeah,
and
for
they
sure.
they actually weighed it down with like bird seed to make him look even fatter and like more like ridiculous.
God, no wonder he was sweating so much.
Yeah, but he was nowhere near that big. He was a big guy, like I'm a
He
big guy.
was yeah, he's a tall guy, but no,
He wore a
like
fat suit for the whole movie. Anyway,
like I know it's saying, and I'm not saying like Brendan Fraser is like morbidly obese because obviously like he played the whale. That's whatever, but like
but he
he's a
wore
bigger guy.
but he wore a fat suit for that. I like that. Let's do Brendan Fraser. That's good.
Yeah,
I know I have Marla Singer as the next nominee. I kind of want to save that to the end. Can we save it to the end?
we can save it to the end. That's fine.
And I know I have Tyler Durden next. Let's do narrator now. I want to do an order of like most fun to recast. So let's do narrator next. Not important to
So
the movie. Let's do narrator.
so I did these. I casted these together. I cast narrator and Tyler Durden as
Okay, cool.
a single, obviously two different actors, but like ones that can play off each other, kind of thing.
Oh,
So
you know
that's
what? I can do that. I can do that for sure.
that's how. So I have pairs of actors. I only have two pairs
I,
for
I
both,
have,
but
well,
I have pairs.
I'll tell you what. I have four pairs.
Okay.
I can make this happen real quick. All right, so give us your first pair for a narrator and Tyler Durden.
So this is narrator, then Tyler Durden.
Okay.
I've got Jack Quaid and Emil Hirsch
Emil Hirsch. Oh fuck. Oh, I love that. That's fun. Okay.
because Jack Quaid can play the straight guy,
Yeah.
and obviously Emil Hirsch can like. And I like Emil Hirsch, but like he can play that type of. I just see him in that Tyler Durden esque role.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
So I'll give you my narrator, then Tyler Durden. I'll go I'll go Miles Teller and Theo James.
Okay.
Miles Teller, straight guy. Theo James. He
You know
played
what's interesting about that is like you could almost flip that if you wanted to.
he totally could. Totally could.
You totally could because I could see it either way. But I like the way you did it.
I don't mean to like do like a divergent like type of like
No,
recast.
no, no, no. But I like the way you did it though. I think
Okay.
that makes the most sense.
I'll go again because you have less than me.
Yeah,
So
you go ahead.
the next one I'm gonna say is Dave Franco as the narrator and Evan Peters as the Tyler Durden.
Okay. Okay.
I think after seeing Peters play
Dahmer.
Dahmer,
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
can be a fucking crazy person.
Yeah, he can. Well, he kind of plays a crazy person in Days of Future Past too. Like a little bit. Like he's kind of
Quicksilver,
nuts.
Quicksilver's kind of nuts.
Yeah, he's kind of nuts.
He nuts. Okay, all right.
So my last one is again this is narrator then Tyler Durden, Cameron Monaghan and Wyatt Russell.
Oh, I'm gonna say again, I flip those two as well. I think that I think that Wyatt Russell he can play crazy, but I think Cameron Monaghan is actually better at being crazy.
Okay. See, I thought I saw it the other way, but it doesn't matter. It
Oh
could flip.
man. No, I'm saying that that's what's fun is the fact that they can flip is
Yeah.
what makes it perfect.
Hmm.
Okay, all right. That's the leader in the clubhouse so far. I'm gonna give you. I can't decide. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do it.
Just say both, and then we can figure out which one we like the most and which role.
All right. Well, so for narrator, I've got two more pairs.
Okay.
I didn't think of it as pairs, but like, all right. So first one is this is maybe crazy, but like Daniel Radcliffe and Shia LaBeouf
So I thought about Shia,
because he's
to be
fucking
honest with you,
in real life.
because he's fucking nuts. He's fucking nuts. And it'd be weird. Honestly, it'd be really fucked up and probably more more shocking to the audience if you flip those guys. And
Oh,
Daniel Radcliffe played the fucking crazy guy, and Shia played the straight guy because they're good enough actors that they could totally do it.
I
I
think
like the way you did
no,
it,
I
but
agree.
like if you flip him, holy shit,
Yeah.
that's must see TV. Daniel Radcliffe play Tyler Durden.
Oh my God. And if you've seen what was it called? The Weird Al movie,
Yeah,
he just got a lot of range, man. Dan Radcliffe is fucking
I
talented.
know. Anyways,
Um, okay,
that might be the leader in the clubhouse now.
here's my final one. I'm not going to take credit from this. Not credit for this. This is Jana, and when she said, I was like, "Oh, you win." Narrator is Joseph Quinn, and the Tyler Durden is Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah,
Have you seen like any of the new Bill Skarsgård like horror movies or even action movies he's in? He's got some real Brad Pitt.
he plays Pennywise for
Yeah,
fuck's sake.
but in movies where he's not, oh no, for sure. But in movies where he's not dressed in all the type of stuff, like he plays he's got some real Tyler Durden, Brad Pitt energy to it.
Does he? Okay, yeah, I haven't seen anything.
You know what though? I think we go Daniel Radcliffe, Shia LaBeouf.
I kind of like that one the most. I think that's because that gives you the shock value. And again, those guys got enough range that they could both like Shia LaBeouf could play the straight guy. Totally,
He has
he has,
until he became crazy
but he
in real
could do it
life.
again. I believe in him.
We can flip him back. I believe in you.
I like that one.
To stream or not to stream?
Oh no, we got Marla Singer.
Oh shit, you're right. My bad.
We got Marla.
Marla is
I have four. I
it's
have
tough
four
one.
names written down. I've
I
got
have
four.
three. So you
Okay.
go first.
First name I wrote down was Felicity Jones.
I like that. Yeah.
I
From
need.
from old
I'm
Rogue
looking.
One.
I'm looking for a badass. I need a badass.
See, I'm looking for someone who's kind of a little edgy. So
Well,
I'll
okay,
start. I'll say Lady Gaga.
okay. I will. I will see your Lady Gaga, and I will raid you Aubrey Plaza.
That's so I think we're going in order of still better. So Aubrey Plaza is winning right now. I'll raise you in Aubrey Plaza and I'll say a Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
I thought about her too because Fleabag is so good.
She's so good.
She's so good.
I think
God,
I think Aubrey Plaza is still winning though.
those are pretty.
I'll give you the Aubrey Plaza nod. Phoebe Waller-Bridge would be really good, but I think Aubrey Plaza is darker.
Yes. Next one I have Tessa Thompson.
Okay. Well, she's very talented. Could play that amazingly.
She totally could.
I would not be surprised when she wants to like fight Tyler Durden slash narrator at the end. Like that would check out. All right. Here's my favorite. Kate McKinnon.
I.
Come on. You know that's fucking amazing. Don't even act like it's not.
I mean, I love Kate McKinnon. I think she's absolutely hilarious. This would be a stark contrast to what you're used to seeing her in.
I want you to think of her stealing the laundry and going to the self-help groups and saying, "Oh, I haven't been fucked like that since the eighth grade." I just want you
Been
to,
fucked like that since grade school.
I want you to think about like Kate McKinnon saying that. That'd be fucking hilarious.
It'd be hilarious. My last name is Rachel Brosnahan.
Oh man, she's so good, but I think that she's too like pretty and nice and good looking, frankly.
Oh, have you seen Mrs. Maisel?
I have, and I love that show. And she's edgy,
She's not. She's not very nice.
but she's too good looking, and she's too I don't know.
Oh, is it Aubrey Plaza?
I think Aubrey Plaza is the winner. I do. I'm gonna respectfully resubmit Kate McKinnon, but I also think that Aubrey Plaza is. I'll accept Aubrey Plaza. All right. To stream or not to stream, I'm gonna tell you right now, this is very rare that I say this. I think this would be a fucking amazing prestige TV show. Like this could
Hmm.
be an eight, a mini series, or even like a eight,
I think I think you could have multiple seasons.
6 episodes a season type situation. Like this could be, but it's got to be like well parsed out. Like
You got to figure it out.
this isn't a CW 20 episode season type shit. It's
It's a tight 10.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh,
Yep.
not I mean, 10 over two, like honestly, 2 seasons. Like,
Yeah, it's not a very long series. You could get, 2, 3 seasons out of it. Yeah, because so this is what I wrote down. I was like, first, I agree with you. I said you could change the plot line a little and have Tyler and have the time referring to them as the Tylers actually learn to coexist.
hmm.
But then underneath, there would always be the power struggle as they manage their growing criminal empire. You could take some more time to go into the key moments in Tyler 1, Ed Norton, his life that led to the creation of Tyler 2, because that doesn't happen overnight. It's not just like there's a series of key moments that are the catalyst to create a split personality, or at least I would have to imagine. I'm not a doctor.
It'd be interesting to like the fact that like let's say this show is released now, like knowing that we know that it's in fact like not that they're the same person, right? Like how do you
Right.
address that now in a show that would come out in real time?
Exactly.
I'm not
I
sure
was
you.
like, and you could take more time into the growth of the organization and the expansion to the other cities, and then the inevitable conflict that would arise with that expansion, and then like the power struggle between the Tylers. Because yeah, they're coexisting, but one's going to want like
Well, it would be fun to
they're
like
always they're always trying to metaphorically kill each other.
it would be fun to see like you never watched the show Legion, but like to see like the idea of like that Legion character, which is like him always battling himself.
Yeah.
I think that idea of like okay, he's like season one is him realizing that he's bipolar basically. Season two is the battle, or even season two is like the structure of like where Tyler's how he's been doing his thing as the narrator is like what the fuck's going on, and season
Hmm.
two is like the comeuppance essentially. Uh,
Right.
okay. Tomorrow's another day. I personally would like to see, speaking of which, how far reaching the army actually is.
Like Tyler Durden's army.
Yeah, like he's traversing the country or the continent, and you kind of see a glimpse of it, but I want to know how many people have formed fight clubs. I want to see a map. I want to see the level of involved. I want to see the recruitment numbers. Be fascinated by
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
And then I wrote down, does the narrator become Tyler? Like now that he has shot himself in the face and he has essentially killed, quote, Tyler, is he now Tyler Durden? Or does he essentially like say, I am no longer this person, I'm going to be whatever his actual name is, or is his name Tyler Durden? I don't know.
Yeah. What like maybe we find out his actual name.
That was one of my thoughts, internet thoughts. Obviously,
Internet thoughts.
I wonder what his real name is. Is his real name Tyler Durden? I don't know. We don't know. Durden
I
Tyler?
wrote I wrote down a few things as I usually do for this section.
This,
Um,
this actually is your favorite category. I always say it's the another Spider-Man category, but this is
I mean, recasting is fun, but this is fun too.
where you shine.
Um,
Go.
so the first thing I wrote down was he gets arrested and charged with a litany of crimes because he's the leader of a terrorist organization, but pleads insanity.
Hmm.
And given the evidence, that holds up. Serves out his sentence at a mental hospital, and Marla visits him while he's there because he knocked her up, and his son comes out looking like Brad Pitt.
Mm. I love that.
So that was my first thought.
Okay.
The second one's pretty basic. He flees the country with Marla, and the rest of the organization continues its transformational agenda without him because they don't need him. They're
Sure.
they're 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 capable of operating independently.
They're organized, yeah.
And then this was one that I wrote down at the end because again, like this is more about the movie and like what they were going after. It's like, well, if you destroy these, everybody goes to zero. And I said, well, they destroy the corporate headquarters of all the major credit card companies. Their data centers are on a different location.
Hmm.
So everyone's debt didn't go to zero, and all that was for nothing. And again, that kind of plays into what we talked about at the very beginning of like kind of the philosophy of the movie and kind of what they were trying to do, but then also like the subversive, like kind of poking fun at what they were trying to do. Because if they actually did that, like nothing's going to happen.
Well, that's a 99 like thought of like the way the networks and
Like
internet applies.
Visa's data center isn't in downtown New York or whatever city, whatever city that's set in. Like
Yeah,
neither is Mastercard's, Discover's. Like take your pick. Their data centers aren't in Manhattan.
spread out. So you blow up one, you got to blow, you actually got to blow up 10. Um,
Exactly.
and what's funny though, like, and this is actually nerd, I mean, fun fact that the buildings they blew up were Fox buildings, which this movie is produced by 21st Century Fox. So I think they were kind of poking fun of themselves a little bit.
Just a little bit. So that's what I had.
All right, nerd facts. In the short scene where Brad Pitt and Edward Norton are drunk and hitting golf balls, they are really drunk. And the golf balls are sailing directly in the side of the catering truck. So yeah. Fincher said, let's make this real.
That's
Allegedly,
awesome.
all internet research, who knows if it's real, but I
If
like
it's on the
that's the case.
if it's on the internet, it's true.
Must be real.
When Tyler catches the narrator listening at the door as he has sex with Marla, he's wearing a rubber glove. This was Brad Pitt's idea and caused a great deal of controversy with the president of production at Fox 2000 Pictures, Laura Ziskin. She was horrified when she saw the scene and demanded that it be removed. However, at a subsequent test screening, the appearance of the glove got the biggest laugh of the whole movie, prompting Ziskin to change her mind.
I think there's a lot of moments of this where 20th Century Fox or Fox, whatever it was, like
We're like, what the fuck did we just pay for?
that and like almost like a let's shock them with this so we can get away with this. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
we're gonna give you a bunch of crazy things. We know you're gonna boop or just basically say you can't do that anymore because we know that we can maybe sneak these things by you. Um, Speaking of which, the original pillow talk scene in Marla saying, I want to have an abortion." This was objected to by Fox Pictures president Laura Ziskin. David Fincher said he would change the actual line, and basically Ziskin agreed, and they replaced it with, "I haven't been fucked like this since grade school." She was even more outraged, Ziskin was, but Fincher said, "Nope, we're gonna keep it with the change." That's fucking amazing.
During the shooting of the film, Helena Bottom Carter insisted that her makeup artist, Julie Pierce, apply all of her eye makeup with her left hand because Bottom Carter felt that Marla was not a person who would be particularly skilled at or concerned with correctly applying makeup.
That's
Which is true.
it's
That's
real.
spot on.
So
It's the little details.
I mean, it's really important. Like, so if I mean, that's what we call that. If you are not meta acting, but
It's method.
method acting. Thank you.
Method.
So after the copyright warning on the DVD, there's a second warning, and this warning is from Tyler Durden. You can only see it for a second. But you got to pause it. Here's what it says. If you're reading this, then this warning is for you. Every word you read of this is useless fine print, is another second off your life. Don't you have other things to do? Is your life so empty that you honestly can't think of a better way to spend these moments? Are you so impressed with authority that you give respect and credence to all who claim it? Do you read everything you're supposed to read? Do you think everything you're supposed to think? Buy what you're told you want? Get out of your apartment. Meet a member of the opposite sex. Stop the excessive shopping and masturbation. Quit your job. Start a fight. Prove you're alive. If you don't claim your humanity, you will become a statistic. You've been warned. Warned, Tyler.
It's awesome. When the narrator hits Tyler Durden in the ear, Edward Norton actually did hit Brad Pitt in the ear. He was originally going to fake hit him, but before the scene, David Fincher pulled Norton aside and told him to hit him in the ear. After Norton hits him in the scene, you can see him smiling and laughing while Pitt is hurting and swearing.
You hit me in the ear,
He
man.
hit me in the ear. Oh, I kind of fucked that up. No, it's perfect.
Brad Pitt and Helena Bonham Carter spent 3 days recording orgasmic sounds for their unseen sex scenes. And by the way, there's another fun fact that the camera angles they use is from the same camera angle and production company, The Matrix, when Neo is doing like his like
Yeah, what's that called?
well, it's the same thing they use in this movie.
Bullet time. That's what it's called.
Oh, really?
That's yeah,
Hmm.
the bullet time effect. Um, Edward Kowalczyk
Hmm.
of Live plays the waiter who serves the narrator and Marla. I had no idea. That was my first concert, by the way. Live.
Live was really?
Live was my first concert.
That's awesome. Mine
I,
was good.
I still remember the conversation that I had with my dad because it was a genuine who's on first conversation. Because I told him, I was like, I want to go see Live. He said, okay, who are you going to go see? I said, no, I want to go see Live. He's like, I understand it's Live. Who are you going to go see? And I'm like, Dad, the name of the band is Live. And he's like, oh, okay.
Oh,
He didn't get it.
oh, Dennis, that's fucking amazing. Mine was Steve Miller Band.
That's a good one.
Yeah, at Riverport, whatever they call it
Yeah.
now.
Mine was Riverport as well.
Tyler Durden was originally going to recite a workable recipe for homemade explosives, which he does in the novel. But in the interest of public safety, the filmmakers decided to substitute fictional recipes for the real ones.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
According to author Chuck Palahniuk, much of the specific content of the novel, such as the splicing single frames of pornography into family films, attending support groups of the terminally ill, erasing videotapes, etc., came from stories told him by friends and from things his friends actually did. Whilst writing the novel Palahniuk also interviewed numerous young white males in their white collar jobs, discovering that the longing for their fathers was a theme, as I heard about a lot, and the resentment of lifestyle standards imposed by advertising was another.
It's fascinating to hear that because like he's got some pretty fascinating friends or unique friends to have all these
Oh,
stories to be pieced together in this movie.
right.
All right, well, inner nerd thoughts. Did we learn anything? Here's what I think I learned. Consumerism is bad. Mental health is good, and government is corrupt. Also, I do think there's maybe a different way to kill quote Tyler than shooting himself in the face. Uh, yeah.
So about that. So again, like you have we already mentioned this mentioned the scene with the cops, and it's like you said you say that too. No, you said they say that too. Yeah, well, you definitely say you say that. Like they're automatically skeptical and they don't believe him. And then he shoots himself, and then all of a sudden, like we're treating him like he's Tyler again.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's a
The
pretty quick switch.
It was a pretty quick switch. The first thing I wrote down, I said, doctors today would be so fast to prescribe a sleeping pill that none of this would have ever happened since the film was predicated on the fact that insomnia caused this.
Well, what again at the beginning of the movie he says, I don't want you to have a pill because you need natural sleep, which is
And I'm saying a doctor today wouldn't say that.
no, not at all. That
Absolutely.
was actually
That's
one
what,
of the more shocking moments where I was like, just give him a fucking pill to sleep for like a day.
yeah,
Like, fine.
just give him a fucking sleeping pill. Like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, moral of the story, that doctor is the reason why this happened.
I mean, in a sense, yeah.
Yeah. Well, any other thoughts?
One more thought, and this was just like I don't know if it's a plot hole. Maybe it's probably not a plot hole. Maybe I just don't get it. But there was the airport scene. So in the airport when Tyler steals the car, is this like Tyler steals the car, like Brad Pitt steals the car, Edward Norton's talking to the police officer. Which one was actually happening? Because the cop was engaged with Edward Norton,
Hmm.
And when Brad Pitt steals the car, you hear someone being like, "Hey, he just stole my car!" Like, so you have two real world events happening at the same time with both of them present. So that was the one scene where I'm like, which one's, again, knowing what you know now, like, well, so which one actually happened? Which one's real and which one's fake? Did someone else steal his car and he projected Tyler stealing the guy's car where he's
Ah,
talking to the airport security guard, or is it vice versa? I don't know. That stood out to me
I'll have to rewatch that. That's I think that's like a really bad continuity issue, honestly.
because it's two real world reactions to people. Because you have the security guard talking to Edward Norton and the guy complaining that his car just got stolen by Tyler Durden.
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't know. That was it.
Oh, good call. Well, final thoughts, legacy. I think that this is again, falls in that time period of shocking endings or surprise endings, and honestly, like solidified Edward Norton is incredible. Helena Bonham Carter like makes her a star, and Brad Pitt, people are like, he's the man.
Oh yeah, he's the man for sure.
Yeah. Nerd Outreach, thank yous. Thank you, John Lambert, for dealing with our Google Meet slash Zoom issues. Appreciate that.
Just very strange.
But we got to pop on here. Listeners, of course, always we love you guys. Rate, share, etc. All the socials. Um, no longer Twitter, but definitely Facebook and Instagram. And watch us on YouTube.
I did. I deleted my Twitter account as well. I did that a while ago,
As,
actually.
as we all said, next episode preview. I think we have a lot of movies to watch that came out in 2000 slash 95 slash 90.
90/85
We'll have some
/80.
pretty big bangers coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, we
But
got to figure out which one we're gonna do next. I don't know which one, but really quick, happy late birthday to you,
and to you,
and well, and I guess, and technically to be yours was closer, and a happy early birthday to friend of the show, John Cagle.
oh, that fucker is about to be as old as we are.
He's about to be as old as we are. That is for sure.
Oh. Yeah, February is a big month. So is January for all the birthdays. So yeah,
It
happy
really is.
all our friends and family. Thanks for listening. Look forward to another future episodes and bangers. And yeah, until next time, guys.
Bye bye.
See ya. Okay, I put this
I'm
quote
surprised you chose this one.
because I really like this quote. It's actually one of my favorite quotes. Upon rewatching, I like chuckled out loud to it. And I know it's the
I
same
thought
person talking, but I feel like it's kind of a
I thought it was. I thought you for sure were going to be like, the first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The
oh,
second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
let's do that one then.
That's what I thought you were going to do.
All right.
That's why I sent that. That's why I sent that to Waka and them and just kind of confused them. And then they started asking too many questions, and I'm like, I'm annoyed with this. I'm going to get back to work. And I just stopped responding.
I had my one response and that was it. I'm not
I was
uh
like, if you guys can't figure it the fuck out, like I'm not going to explain it to
no, let's
you.
we'll save that quote for when we're sharing quotes because that's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
like to thank the Academy.
Uh
Tell them you fucking did it. Tell them you blew it all up. That's what they want to hear. Are you saying I'm a suspect?
dude,
Sorry. I've
we're
only seen this
we're
movie
gonna
a few
talk about
times.
this, but I cannot believe that we did not know that this was happening. I know it's like revisionist history or like we were watching, you're like, of course, like Sixth Sense, you're like, duh, I'm so stupid. But like there are so many
There's a lot of signs.
clues. Um,
There's a lot of clues.
I got a list of them. Anyway, okay.
Yeah. Sometimes Tyler speaks for me. He fell down some stairs. I fell down some stairs.
Right, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. And the part that was, and I remember this being like, being like, what the fuck is going on? The first time in the movie where I was like, what is going on? Was when Marla comes and he goes, Tyler's not here. Tyler's gone bye-bye or whatever he says. And
What?
she goes, "What? What the
It's like,
fuck?" She says something like, "What's the fuck's wrong with you?"
right.
And
You're such a psycho. I can't even keep up with you. And then she
that's
walks away or some shit
that's
like
what it
that.
was. Yeah, and I was like, "Wait a
Yeah.
minute. This is fucking weird." All right.